Hello and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
I'm Chris Yi.
And today we are going to be reviewing Hamlet.
This is a village building game from David Cherkop and Mighty Boards. A game in which players will be collaborating together, trying to build a chapel, trying to build a church in the middle of your hamlet.
That's what makes a hamlet, is the chapel.
That's what makes it not a
That makes it not a hamlet?
It makes it a hamlet is that you don't have a church. Yeah, so it's a village building game because it's a hamlet and you'd want to not be a hamlet anymore. I'm going to show you how it plays.
Here's the game of Hamlet, in which you're trying to grow your hamlet into a proper village by building a church here on this middle area. You're going to be doing so by using your donkeys to help transport resources around to different areas so you can build up the village more and then eventually build up the actual requirements here of the church. And you're going to be using your workers to activate buildings, to build roadways in between new tiles that you build out, and to construct those new tiles. So on a turn, you are able to move your donkeys, if you wish, one space, and you can move your workers to any area that is connected by roads on the map, and then lay it down to activate it. So on a basic thing, you can first come over to a tile and activate it. These regular buildings over here, like the woodcutter, will produce resources that any player can use to do their further actions. When you use the woodcutter, you'll earn a reward, say here of 2 points, for example, and every tile is going to behave a little bit differently. The most important tile that you can activate is this central one here. If you're able to move this number of resources into this area by moving them adjacently or by kicking them forward with your donkeys, you can complete a chunk of the church, earn points, and then be closer to triggering the end of the game. There is a market where you can trade resources in for points and other rewards. There are different places that you can build those resources. And then the market over here, so that's the donkey. That's my villager activating the market here, which allows you to buy blueprints that you can build in the future, or to build more workers and get more donkeys out so you can activate more per turn and move donkeys further. When your turn is done, the next player will go. They can activate all of their donkeys and all of their workers if they so desire. Now let's say that you have multiple workers on your turn. You can move donkeys and you can activate all of your workers. So I might have someone come over here, work the quarry, earn points, and I might have this person come over here to the market, move stuff along there and complete some contracts. But more importantly, let's show the second action. So that's activating building tiles. The second thing you can do on your turn is you can have a readied worker come over here and build. They can build anywhere that's eligible. So if you are able to transport the required resources to build this building, let's say this one cost wood and some wheat. If I was able to move them, you can always move them one space. Then I have a donkey here that can move it an additional space to where my worker is. And if that completes the cost to build a building, I can take one of these building blueprints I have and build it out here into the main area. Buildings are going to behave a few different ways. There's ones that you will mark with your flags to show that you're going to get some endgame scoring from it. There's other ones here like this, which will refine goods, turn basic wood into refined lumber, which is some of what you need to build up the church. If you're the first person to build a refining building, you get one of these awards here, and then that's going to give you a special benefit. Now, after you've built that, you have to build it in a legal way. You notice that there's no road connecting it. So if I wanted to come over here, I could do the third action, which is to build roads. I could move the required resources with the basic movement and the help of donkey power to build roads that will connect tiles to the rest of the map. And now anybody can move their workers, myself or others, come over here and work the sawmill. The other thing that happens when someone builds the first of these buildings that gives refined goods is you'll take any of these tiles here, these village buildings that require those refined resources as part of its cost, and you'll put it into the tile bag so that you can replace the market lineup here with tiles that now can use something that the village is producing or that the hamlet is producing. Like I said, the most important action will be transporting resources over here and getting them to actually complete the church building. Let me show you a little bit more about how endgame scoring works now. Once all parts of the church have been built, the endgame is triggered and we go to endgame scoring. Firstly, you'll hand out these awards. So whoever contributed the most to completing the church will get the chaplain. Second most points will get the sacristan points. Next, the landscaper, whoever built the most of these buildings that show the flag on them, will earn points, and then the merchant, whoever delivered most goods to complete the merchant tiles over here, will get a bonus as well. Next up, you're going to go to each of these landmark type buildings. So this pond, for example, reads points if it is connected by a path. So because this is connected by a path, I do earn 3 points from that at the end of the game. Next up, you're going to be earning a point for each one of these bridges and roadways that you've built, and then you're going to score your longest personal road. Each player will individually look at the longest length of road they have running from one part of the village to the other. So I see that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 tiles that are connected either exclusively by my own roadways or by pre-printed roadways. And I'm going to be earning a few points per tile, 2 points per tile. And then leftover coins are going to be scoring you points 2-1 at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points is the winner.
All right, Chris, I want to let you know that I went into playing this game being excited about it. Thinking this seems like a cool game. There's some resource management. There's some like buying and selling market tile kind of stuff, fulfilling orders, those kind of things. Like, I thought it sounded pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, no, and I didn't know too much about it going into it. I know that it had strange shaped pieces, and I like puzzly type of games. I like moving resources around and everything. I think one of the strengths of this game is the fact that like those donkeys become an interesting little donkey management. I love donkey management in games, right? You want to move resources further, got to have more donkeys to carry them around. I said kick them around in the overview. I was being silly.
It really feels that way, though. Like the donkeys are kicking them forward.
Because the donkeys aren't moving.
They're like a middle step.
They are, yeah. It's like an assembly line of donkeys and stuff. So I mean So there's some like little things about the game that like, for the most part, it thematically works very well, I think. And I like the strange shaped pieces. I like that they went for bizarro shaped pieces, triangles, and whatever the heck you describe this as, like a boat shaped tile.
That's funny because I don't like the shaped pieces.
No.
I think it's a weird decision because why weren't they just hexes? So now my donkey has to kick stuff further and it makes the roads not match up. I don't know, it's very strange. It's hard to work with and it's very fiddly feeling.
Fiddly is an operative word here because
it defines most of this game.
Yes. So I mean, I like these tiles. I really like the idea that they're tricky on purpose. You want to try to line up roads, or not bother lining up roads and build your own roads and stuff, right? Which a lot of that is cool. It does make this kind of a strange thing to look at and trying to visualize how stuff is going to work out. And unfortunately, there is a lot of fiddliness, I think, in this game.
So the way that the tiles come out, where as soon as you build an industry, you then can use that industry. I like that in concept, but in actual play, I think that it just gets in the way. So you have this bag and you're like, now I have to add sea tiles to it because these use milk now and now I have access to milk. And I'm going to shuffle them, but the pieces are too big for the bag to shuffle them in the bag. So now you're like, now I'm going to have to like shuffle weird shaped pieces card style inside of a bag and randomly pull one out. I feel like the dimensions of this game are all wrong. You have these itty bitty super tiny pieces that don't fit on the board. Like they're taller than they are wide, so they're very hard to pick up. They're hard to see on the board. But then you have tiles that are too big for the bag that you're supposed to shuffle in a bag. And so simultaneously things are too big and too small.
Well, and then going back to that, these tiles all have like a building bonus if you're the person that builds it, cost and bonus, and then down here's the activation cost, resource made, and bonus. There's a lot of symbology on a single tile, and from across the table, it is nigh impossible to see which type of resource. Is this stone, wood, upgraded lumber wood, grain, brick. It's the symbology is very small on each tile. And it's hard to even just from across the table see what is the building cost of that and what is the bonus I get from building it.
Yeah, I feel like the icons and I feel like the pieces could totally be 20-30% bigger and the tiles could be the same size.
Yeah, but you need to fit a lot of villagers and a lot of donkeys on here.
You do need to fill some villagers and donkeys. That's true because everybody is donkeys.
Everybody's donkeys.
On all the spaces.
And everyone has villagers. I know that we're speaking a lot of negatives about this game. I'm just going to come out and forthright say I really don't like this game. And I wanted to. I kind of went into it, like you said, having this nice expectation. I'd heard some good stuff about this hot game coming, a Hamlet. And I love resource management. I love the idea of kind of using the donkeys to move pieces around, and where like the spatial element of it makes sense. And the game does do those things very well. However, it does parts of those things very well, but I'm not very interested in moving things over to the market to fulfill the little market contracts. They feel a little bit too inconsequential compared to building up the church there in the middle, or trying to make a very long road, trying to span across the map, because you get a good chunk of points for just having a long road segment that's kind of yours.
Yeah, I think the thing is that I feel such a disconnect between the making products and selling products versus the building the chapel, building the roads of the hamlet. And I understand thematically that the point of this is to build the chapel, and therefore the point is to build infrastructure roads, I guess.
Yeah.
And your donkeys are the infrastructure. So I understand thematically what they're going for. But from a visual perspective, this game looks like it's going to be all about the resources as well. And I feel like they just take a back seat. The market sale, like as you sell stuff for the market, it's not worth a lot of points. It's not worth a lot of money. And so you're like, oh, cool. I went through all this work to build up this tile to make myself be the fancy milk producer. And instead of getting 1 point in $1 when I sell it, I get 2 points in $1.
When anyone uses your milk.
When anyone uses it, yeah.
Which you have to make sure to rotate from this side to the upgraded side. And I almost dropped this piece because these pieces are too, like,
they're
incomprehensibly small and wildly fiddly, like unbearably fiddly.
They are definitely too small. I think the other part of it is that if I invest a lot in these goods, I'm just helping other people build the chapel, which is where the main points are. There's a level of positive interaction in this game, which I tend to like positive interaction, but it takes it to the point where it becomes negative of I'm adding all this stuff to the market. Cool. It's helping you because you happen to be the person to be able to say, haha, I put the last piece down. I can finish this. I get all the points. I don't get anything except for a tiny bit of points here and there if it happens to be my goods. But if half the goods are yours, half the goods are mine, and you get the completion bonus. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get anything from that. And so that feels like a negative, as well as you're working, you're putting workers out, you can get a little bit of money. Once those are filled up,
those basic resources,
there's somebody in the game that isn't going to get money. There's somebody in the game that isn't going to get something that they want. And so you feel like you're playing this game of, hey, I'm going to keep these all really full so that nobody else can get money. And then on my turn, I'm going to use one, and then I'm going to get money. And so I don't know, there's just this level of like, it should be positive, it should be good, but it feels really negative.
You're going to find the way to be as obnoxious as possible. If I know that you're really looking for money, I am going to work all those basic spots so that you can't work them to get money. Mm-hmm. If I know that you really want resources on your turn because you're trying to clearly build some tiles you have, I'm going to spend all the resources on my turn and not let you have any of them so that you have to waste your actions repopulating the basic resources, and then I'm going to use them on my turn.
Yeah.
And astoundingly, I think one of my biggest issues with the game is more workers in this game, more better. You get to do more actions, right?
Yeah, there's no feeding, there's no like penalty to having too many.
There's no... I know, including many people on this very channel have complained, hey, feeding your workers is not a very fun mechanism. But also, if one person can gain an extra worker, an extra villager, and start using them and having twice as many actions as you on your turn, that's also not fun, right? Because, and also, everyone can just go for that extra worker as soon as possible, provided you get enough money and you don't block someone out of the money spots. Right. Then they're just watching you take more turns. And so I know feeding your workers is maybe not the only solution here, but there's got to be something better where it's more worthwhile. It takes more effort to build up to having more workers instead of just your opening play should be get more workers because you'll just get more stuff done. Then you can start shutting people out of whatever the things they're looking for because that's the best play for you. I really didn't have a lot of fun with this one. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a big disappointment for me. I was excited about it. There's a couple other fiddly things, like the Kickstarter chapel version gets in the way, so you can't see the objectives on the other side. You're like, excuse me, I have to deconstruct the chapel so I can see what I need to construct the chapel.
I don't use the deluxe bits. I use the regular.
Yeah, the basic stuff there. I mean, I like the deluxe coins. There's some nice things, but overall, I'm going to give this game a 5. I don't want to play it again. It wasn't fun, and it was super fiddly, and at the end of the day, there's so many better city building games, you know, Euro games, cool trading games. There's so much other fun stuff out there that's way better than this. And I'm disappointed in a lot of what's going on.
I'm pretty close with you. I'm giving this one a 4. I'm giving it a 4 because not only do I not want to play it again, I think that the production, the physical pieces and stuff, they drive me nuts. I really hate manipulating all these teeny little resources and stuff, trying to read the board. This game could have been higher a little bit on score-wise, even if it was just more visually clear, and it's not. I don't like... We don't have fun giving negative reviews.
Yeah.
I love games. I would rather just be able to love all games, but I don't think that this is one worth going out and getting, because that the positive interaction isn't as interesting and positive as it could be, and the feeling of building up this village feels more like I'm just trying to maximize my own efficiency and punch you very passive-aggressively as much as I can. So,
I think
not for me.
I think it's very telling when I go into this review and I'm trying to search for positive things. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the donkeys, I think that idea, that mechanic of like, hey, I want to move something, I need something in between to kind of kick it forward and move it forward. I think that's an interesting mechanism. I want to see it in a better game. And then I think, like, what else is there that I really like about this? That I find really interesting, and
I have enjoyed these weird shaped tiles, and I know that you don't. So yeah, you are having an even harder time. So well, there you go. Unfortunately, that's our score there for Hamlet. Our thoughts on that one. I know many people disagree. Feel free to discuss why it is that you might enjoy this one as well. You know, and I'm sure that there are plenty who agree with you, but I think that there's plenty of people that might also look at this and say, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't get into that one. So hopefully this review is helpful for you. Until next time, my name is Chris Yi.
I'm Wendy Yi.
Have yourselves a village building time. Dung, 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 dung. Yabba-dabba-doo! Is that Flintstones? That's Flintstones, right?